crime is everywhere, the streets are running rampant, everything's going to shit. What else could it be other than a brand new Watch Dogs game?
It's hot in that thing. This is the first review on what's going to be a line of new reviews that I'm going to be doing going forward. I want to review more games, do more things. Let me just fix that camera a little bit. There we go. Now it's a bit off center. That'll do. We're doing it as we go. Okay, so yeah, this is not going to be like a big fancy IGN review or something like that. It's literally just me talking to you guys. I've written a review. I've got notes here and all that sort of stuff. So I'll be going over that as we go. But basically what we need to know is Watch Dogs Legion is a 2020 action-adventure game published by Ubisoft and developed by the Toronto studio. It's the third game in the Watch Dogs series and is the sequel to 2016's Watch Dogs 2. This bad boy's coming out on PS5, Series X, Series S, PS4, Xbox One, Stadia, and Windows, I believe. Windows, yeah. So yeah, basically, let's get into this review, alright? So, let me get that out of the way. The story of the game takes place in a time of collapse, right? It's the collapse of the UK's freedom and economy. We begin the game as a character called Dalton Wolf. He's a member of the hacker group known as DedSec. We know them to be the be-all and end-all of hacker groups, and it was the group that we knew most about from the first two entries in the series. So not so much Watch Dogs 1, but definitely Watch Dogs 2. DedSec is actually the group you're a part of in Watch Dogs 2, whereas in Watch Dogs 1 it was just a group that existed within the world. You were actually sort of like you're on your own sort of mission there. But yeah, DedSec are trying to prevent a plan to demolish the Parliament building with explosives, right? So just as Dalton stops the explosives on Parliament House, a rival hacker group called Zero Day detonates additional explosives around London, plunging the city into chaos. Dalton was killed just before he could provide evidence that DedSec was not even remotely related to the bombings, which is pretty sad, but standard practice if you're gonna frame somebody, make sure you don't leave anybody who can give evidence. But the crime is completely pinned on DedSec. After the attack, the British government make a deal with Albion, which is a private military company, to bring London to order. They're basically the police that are going in to wrap everything up and keep everybody together. Since being blamed for the explosive, DedSec have gone into hiding, but that's until now. Until you, a random person, because this is what this game is about, random people doing the right thing. You and your group of freedom fighters come together to bring London back from the clutches of oppression and just overall bad guys. So let's start this off right? The gameplay, okay? So the gameplay in Watch Dogs Legion is a massive improvement for the most part over the previous two games. The stealth is massively improved. Just the way it moves, getting into cover, getting out of cover. The gameplay, the gunplay is really, really good. Just the minute-to-minute gameplay is more enjoyable, which in itself is a massive plus, as I found the shooting in the previous two games to be a bit of a hit or miss. Especially in the first one. The first one was a bit floaty, and the second one I really relied on the melee hitting, just because sometimes those guns just didn't feel like guns. They didn't even feel that good, to be honest. But yeah, it's not the case here. Every time I'd get into combat, it felt fast and fluid, and that also goes for the driving. I will admit at the start, the driving felt really floaty to me, but after about 40 hours, I've played more than 40 hours of this game, I probably wouldn't want the driving to feel any other way. I think that the way the driving's done here is done in a way that anybody can pick it up and anybody can learn it. It's really fast, it's fluid, not as it'll take time to get used to, but it's actually really, really good. So now let's talk about the draw of this game, right? So Legion lets you walk up to any London civilian and recruit them to be a part of DedSec, right? The idea feels really cool at first, but it fails to justify its existence in the long run, because I feel the lack of a main character sort of becomes a problem as the game goes on. So while swapping between characters is very novel at first, you'll soon realize that it's actually kind of shallow, and London's civilians are randomized, but the randomization and variety is very limited. I'd often bump into characters that had the same haircut, the same beard, the same voice. There was one character I ran into who had the exact same face and voice as my main, the character I sort of used as my main character. Same face, same voice. The only difference was this guy had a really sick tattoo, a really, really cool tattoo. But other than that, they were exactly the same person, which kind of makes me question the reason for this. Like, why didn't they just have a single player protagonist from the get-go? I mean, obviously, it sort of feels like they did it because they could, not because it would make gameplay better or give you awesome gameplay. And it's just... I feel like the game would be relatively the same game even if you had a single player protagonist. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't... Swapping between the characters in the long run doesn't impact the gameplay in any way that would make you think swapping between characters is a necessity. Some of them do have unique skills and they are recruited for their unique things, but they're story-based. I think this game totally would have benefited if we'd not gone with the random generated characters, because it's impossible to get... what's the word I'm looking for? It's impossible to get connected with just a randomly generated character, like 50 randomly generated characters. Whereas you look at games like Watch Dogs 1 and Watch Dogs 2, sure, people didn't like the main character Aiden, but Aiden is someone they remember. People liked Marcus. People really liked Marcus. He's a character I remember. I think he was a great protagonist. I think he was really good for the series. And people are going to look back at this and go, oh yeah, I really loved my police officer, or my construction worker, or this, or that. You don't take the time to remember their names, and I'm sure there are people out there that do, and more power to you guys, but just for me, it just didn't feel like the decision was made for awesome gameplay. It sort of just felt like it was made because they had the technology and they decided to do it. But yeah, I mean, if they really wanted to implement something like this, I totally would have gone with the recruit mechanic from Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, where you would go out into the world, recruit assassins from Brotherhood, and you close your fist, they'd come in, take people out. I think if you did that, but sort of iterated on it and made it better, so like maybe recruit a construction worker who that you then call in, and then they can drop you off a drone, or they can airlift you to where you need to go, or you can call in a hitman and he can take out a designated target. Or if you had to swap between these characters, sort of still have that central character for you to come back to, so you can feel connected to the world and to the story. I mean, it is a very interesting mechanic, though, that they've introduced, and I do hope Ubisoft utilize it more in the future, but there's just so many times here my character says and does the same thing, and there's only so many times I can hear in that manly monotone voice, you know, Dead Set could really use your help, Dead Set could do this, oh, we're not doing nothing, oh, it's like, it's insane. It's like, oh, isn't that right, bruv?
Fuck yeah, ready to help make a difference.
Fuck yeah. It's crazy. But I mean, that's basically Watch Dogs Legion. Good fighting, good driving. There's a story there that I won't go into because that's spoilers, but even at the end of the day, that's sort of not everything it could have been. It takes a while to get going, and then when it does get going, it feels like the game's about to end. So that's really disappointing in itself as well, but I won't go into it. But like, let me make this clear. This isn't a bad game, it's just a bit tired. It's got a lot of mechanics and stuff that we've seen before, and the brand new mechanic feels shallow because you don't have that connection. It's nothing special, but it's nothing bad. Like, not every game needs to be revolutionary, although some aspects of this game definitely are. Their pull, for example, that is very revolutionary. Probably not for a third-person action game, but maybe for something else in the future. But yeah, Watch Dogs Legion is Ubisoft's most ambitious entry in the series yet, but I think Watch Dogs 2 is still the best the series has to offer. I mean, hacking through walls without line of sight and the spider drone, they really remove all strategy from this game. I just found myself using the spider drone for everything. I didn't really use any of the other upgrades, even though I had them all. The spider drone was just where it needed to be. It's fun for a few hours, but then once you realize that all you're doing is just skipping past everything super easily, it loses all of its charm. Not using any of the other stuff. Just, yeah, I mean, the whole play as anyone gimmick didn't really draw me in either. I started stopping recruiting people after a while, and it made no difference to the game, really. It's just really sad. I hope this doesn't kill the Watch Dogs franchise, because I really feel like there's more in this series. There's a really good game here. It's just, it's not here yet. Maybe the DLC can change some of that going forward. Maybe it can, maybe it can't. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, the world of London is a really good time, but the game is never challenging. And the story at the end of the day, it kind of feels like we've been there, we've done that. But those are my thoughts on Watch Dogs. What would I rate Watch Dogs? I don't actually have a rating system yet. I don't know if I'm going to number them or if I'm going to have like a donate it, trade it, play it sort of thing. But I guess what I would say at the moment is play this game. It is a really interesting game. It's really good fun. Don't go into it expecting a single player open world crazy game. Go into it expecting more of a open world sort of clan builder where you're running out with different characters. Don't put too much, like, the story's got some good bits, but don't put too much into it. It's going to be a game with a good story. It's a fun open world. If you're looking for a fun, crazy open world game that just lets you run around, run rampant, and do what you want, look no further than Watch Dogs Legion. It's perfect for that. Do I say run out and get it now? No. There's plenty of other games coming out right now that you should definitely be spending your money on, but Watch Dogs Legion is one of those games that you definitely shouldn't sleep on in the future. If you got a couple extra bucks, it's cheap in the future, pick it up. Can't go wrong. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, that's going to do it for this review. Please let me know what you guys thought down in the comments below. I need to figure out how I'm going to do reviews. I basically sort of started saying my own thoughts and reading off my script here. I just tried to be really honest with you guys and try to be as transparent as possible with everything I thought. I'll try, hopefully as time goes on, these reviews will get better and better. But yeah, that's all I've really got for you guys today. So thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget about the Twitch, the Twitter, and the Instagram. Head over there and check them out. The links are down below. And until next time, may all your games be good ones, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. See you, everybody.